Hi, Monique from Creative Wife Life, recording from my laptop for the first time, and hopefully it goes okay. I just wanted to talk about what my homeschooling schedule is going to look like. My daughter is 5, and
Everybody knows that.
okay, my daughter is 5. She's saying everybody knows that. I've done this 3 times because I'm trying to figure this out. Um, and we are starting homeschool for the first time in September. She's going to be going into kindergarten. But I want to talk about what my homeschooling schedule is going to look like, kind of. It's very tentative and it's very flexible because that's what homeschooling is all about. Kind of gearing what your day looks like towards your child, but also making sure they learn, right? So we've been doing some homeschooling things for a couple months, and I'm kind of getting an idea of what works for Riley and what works for me because I'm going to be the one that's doing it for her. So I got to make sure that I'm not going crazy and that it's going to work for me. So if you want to stick around, I'm going to probably put up just shots of what our homeschooling day is going to look like, as well as some things, curriculum that I'm really interested in ordering. So stick around. Okay, so Riley's going to be doing year round school with plenty of breaks in between to give mommy and her breaks. She's going to also be doing a 4 days a week on an A B schedule. So, for example, she might do Monday and Wednesday on the A schedule and Tuesday and Friday on the B schedule, depending on how our weeks go. So what you're seeing in our schedule when it's coming up next is that the B schedule is going to be in parentheses. So we'll start the day off at around 8:30 a.m. with ABC Mouse, giving me time to get breakfast ready and to do my chores in the morning. We'll eat breakfast, and in a casual atmosphere, I'm going to do devotion and scripture with her on the A day. On the B day, we're going to do music, language arts, math. On the A day, B day science, and then ABC Mouse just before lunch to give her some extra free time. At 11:30 to 12:30, we'll do lunch and some free play. She can pick whatever activity she wants to do. It is completely and totally up to her. Then we'll continue the rest of the afternoon with number of the day. Month and season are not necessarily going to be A or B day. I just put that in parentheses just to give examples of what I want to do during that time period. Then we'll conclude with social studies, and I'll talk a little bit more about social studies. Then at 1:15 to 2, a cool down period. So for materials, this is a list that is not exhaustive because there's going to be so much more that's going to be added to it. But because we're doing devotions, I really want to do God's Little Princess, hands-on physical experiments for science, handwriting without tears, teach your child to read in 100 easy steps, spectrum books, which I found from Blissful and Domestic. She talked about that and I looked them up and they are really inexpensive and super easy, as well as additional resources, things that I get from the dollar store, so on and so forth. Okay, so hopefully that gave you an idea of how I want to go about this upcoming year with Riley. Um, and even though that schedule is up here, it could change. I'm willing, absolutely willing to be flexible because I want to see what works for Riley. I base that schedule off of kind of what we're doing now or what works for us, what works for me. As you see, I start later in the day. I mean, I start at 10 o'clock really with the homeschooling thing. Yeah, we start at 9 with devotions and scripture and breakfast, but that I want it to be more casual feel. And then we go into our lesson planning at 10. And I've also built in a lot of rest and breaks for her and me. And I've also done things in half an hour increments because um, I want to get a lot done in the day, but I don't want the day to be crazy long. So I've had to shorten up some things. If you've noticed, also, I have not included some subjects like history. I'm not going to be teaching Riley history right now or geography per se, but in some of my social studies units that I'm thinking already of and planning ahead, they're going to include some geographical terms, and that's okay. My core focus for her is language arts and math and some social studies things. She's also going to be focusing on art and music and the Bible. So I'm going to focus on those things for her because I think that's important for her age. I did want to elaborate on the materials. Spectrum books, I couldn't write everything that I am wanting to purchase out of that. But off of Blissful and Domestic, a blog that I follow, she's a homeschooling mom too, and she has used Spectrum books. She's also used a variety of things, but I was drawn to Spectrum books because it was a curriculum and it was really inexpensive and it looked easy for me to use and easy for her to use. So I was drawn to that. And just look it up, Google it, look on Amazon. They're so super, super, super inexpensive. And I'm going to get those. But out of the Spectrum books, I'm looking at a list that I wrote here. Not like you can really see, but Spectrum books, I'm going to get the math book, the language arts, and the phonics book. So in language arts, she is going to use 4 different books. And what I'm going to do is we have language arts every day, and we're going to do pieces of all of it. That didn't make any sense. But so there's one book out of Spectrum that's language arts. There's one that's phonics. And then Handwriting Without Tears is one. And then Teach Your Child to Read in 100 Easy Steps is another one as well. So I'm going to incorporate that into our language arts curriculum. And then for math, I have one book for math. And then I also have 3 to 4 additional books that I can use to incorporate and filter in throughout the lessons and throughout the week. So math, if you remember the schedule, was part of the A day, and then the B day is science. Hands-on physical experiments K through 2. I'm excited about this, and I know Riley is going to go crazy over this. She is so into helping and being a part of things. And science I was kind of like on the edge whether or not I was going to introduce that to her for kindergarten, because I really want to focus on math, writing, reading, phonetics. Sorry, I was thinking phonetically, phonics. But she's so into like baking and cooking and seeing how things work. Like we planted some flowers, and she was so into it, and I felt like, you know what, she's gonna be so into it. So that's why I incorporated that into her curriculum. And that's exactly what I want to do. I want to do things that make sense for her. And that's pretty much what I wanted to elaborate on. My list for homeschooling is growing exponentially, but I believe it's kind of growing in a cheap way. There's some things that I want, and then there's things that I want that I think that I can kind of don't need to use, or that I could figure out a way to use something else. And I think that's what's happening. I'm not going to read off my list. I think I'll do that later. So I am going to go, and I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please comment, give me feedback. Are you a new person? Are you a new individual trying to homeschool your child, especially if they're just starting in kindergarten? What are you doing? How are you doing? You know, we're in the middle of May, and homeschool traditionally starts in September, which this year we're going to start in September. Even though we're doing a year-round thing, we're going to really start in September, and we're going to do light things in the summer. But how are you doing? What are you doing? Let me know. Give me some feedback. If you like this video, hit like and subscribe. Bye.